Welcome to Maplewood Homestead.
Hi, guys.
How are you? It's like, okay, we're starting, so.
Well, we're testing new equipment.
That's right.
Hello, Joe. Joe's here. She was the first one in the house.
That's right.
We're testing new microphones. If you can give me a thumbs up, let me know how it sounds. Is it too loud? What do you think? And we're testing a background. We're up against a wall. This is a little different from last time. And, hey! Oh, thank you, Joe. I'm glad you enjoy it. Did you get super cold weather too? And how are your goats doing? A fellow goat owner.
It's almost hard to believe Texas getting cold weather, but they do.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Well,
Northern Texas.
Central Texas.
Oh, well, Central.
Texas.
Okay, yeah. It dipped down a little bit.
Yeah, it sure did.
Yeah, I've driven on Interstate 40 a number of times during the wintertime, and let me tell you, it gets cold in northern Texas. Going across that panhandle and then panhandle of Oklahoma, brutal. Just nothing out there, just flat. Wind hits you.
When we drive back to New Mexico to visit our daughters and our grandkids, we'll sometimes take the northern route. There's two routes. We can do a southern route through what, I-10? No, I-40.
The southern route goes through I-10.
Yeah, southern route I-10, or
right.
or we can
northern
do the
route through I-40.
Yeah.
So, is it route or route?
Route.
It's route.
California, Massachusetts.
Ouch.
She said the goats like the cold way more than I do. Yeah. I like the fluffy coats. You can tell how cold it is by how fluffy the goats are, is what I found, Joe. Wow, we look really bright.
Well, because we have bright personalities, that's why. So we're really bright. This is the background, the lighting, whatever. We're working it all out. It'll be fine.
So
it'll be fine.
I know we're waiting on a few more people, but how cold did it get where you are? Like, let us know in the chat. Joe, you can let us know, and anybody else that comes on. When you get on, let us know, if you hear this, how cold it got where you were. With us, I think it got down to actual physical temperature, probably 5, but with the wind chill, it was well below that. At one point, I think it was like a -10 with the wind chill.
Well, even this morning, we're talking about almost 5 days after it initially hit.
Yeah.
It was easily -1 with the wind chill factor. That's what my weather report said. Well, I was out there doing chores this morning, so it definitely was cold, no doubt.
So she said, in Central Texas, they had no snow this time, just cold. It covered. So do you have? We're going to actually talk about gardens today too. We're going to talk about gardens.
That's the plan.
Yeah. So Joe, do you have a fall garden? Hello, Cindy. Hi, Cindy. Hello. Cindy, Joe is from Central Texas. We were talking about they got cold, but no snow. And that's okay. We know you have to feed bunnies. It kind of was hard doing it at 4 because it's chore time. Even for us, it's chore time. And
I've realized I could go outside at midnight and feed the pigs, and they'll eat anyway. So, and I'm not talking about just the pigs. I'm talking about the goats. If we wanted to, they'd eat. But
well,
yeah,
we've always known before we even got pigs.
That's right.
That Maple, the queen of the herd, her spirit animal has always been
a pig.
A pig. Yeah.
Spirit animal, pig. We have a beagle. Same thing. Spirit animal, pig. They all fit right fine in the pig pen.
So even in Central Texas, it got down to 15 degrees one night.
Oh.
Which is cold for a desert environment.
It is. Having grown up in the desert all my life, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yes, that can get cold.
Now, I know, Cindy, how much snow did you wind up getting? Joe, Cindy is an hour and a half south of us, and they got a lot more snow than we got. And Joe has fall garden. She has broccoli, beets, Swiss chard, and collard greens. They're pretty hardy for the cold, but this kind of cold, did they survive?
That's what I was wondering. Iceberg lettuce, because it's an iceberg temperature? I don't know.
So do you do raised garden beds? Because you've got a desert soil too, don't you? So, yeah, anyway, it was really cold. And we got probably maybe 2 inches when all was said and done, maybe.
Yeah, this time around, we didn't get as much snow as we have in the past.
Right.
It was just the colder temperatures and the ice that formed. And honestly, I didn't think the ice was as bad as we have seen it since we've lived here for almost 7 years. I've seen it a lot worse. But I don't know. It was just the cold temperatures. I don't know if I would call it an Arctic blast. That's what some of the news reporters were saying. But last year, that was an Arctic blast. That was different. That was like sustained. It seemed like 20 plus mile an hour winds at different times. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It blew me away.
That's what you're going to go with.
That's what I'm going with right there. That's a blizzard as far as I'm concerned. But it was so cold this morning. You didn't know this because you're working inside the house.
Don't use your teacher voice.
Right. I had.
You'll hear me say don't use. He's a teacher. And so he's used to projecting. And so he thinks he has to speak loud enough to make it to your living room without microphone. So I'm right
I can
here,
do it. I promise you, I can do it. I can do it. All right. Here's the thing. I had splashed water on my face before I went outside so I could wake up and get all the sleep
this morning,
right? All right. I thought I dried my face off. Okay. I walk outside to start the chores and everything, and all of a sudden, right here in my goatee, it gets real stiff. And water was still stuck in here, but it froze. And so I felt like some kind of kinship to the Vikings or something, because I had a frozen goatee. I know, not quite the same, but I was like, why does that feel real? And I felt it. Ice through here. And all I was doing.
Ice, baby.
That's right. Oh, my goodness.
You're as cold as ice.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Here we go. Ice. Okay,
we digress. Sorry. Joe said she uses compost and basic grazing animal minerals for the garden to make sure she gets healthy plants, and she has all raised garden beds, so that's awesome.
Well, what is the minerals? The animal minerals? What is that?
She said basic grazing animal minerals for the garden.
What is that, manure? Is that a fancy name for manure?
I don't know. Maybe Joe could tell us. And Cindy said they got 5 inches of snow. And today it's like a mini skating rink, which is similar to here. Like
right.
Going down to the rabbit area, I have to be super careful.
It's a slip and slide on ice.
Yes. Was it last year or the year before? I got a huge hematoma on my thigh that even to this day, I can't lay on my side and not feel it. Joe says they're calling for lots of rain and possible flooding here next week. Lots of rain here
That's
too.
Right.
Coming.
Same
lots
here.
Lots of rain here.
Pretty much all week.
And I think I would like to say that it was a hectic week, but I think last year we had, was it 2 weeks, at least 2 solid weeks of the same kind of stuff, but I think there was more snow and more wind. I think you're right. I don't know if there's 20 mile an hour sustained winds all the time.
But you must have been inside when that gust nearly knocked me off my feet. Either that, it was the rush of the goats trying to get to the grain. Either way.
Probably Maple led that one up.
That's right.
So anyway, Joe gets the mineral bag from Tractor Supply for all the stock and puts it in the garden. So you just take animal minerals and throw it into the garden? For real?
I've never heard of that before.
Cindy, have you done that? Have you ever heard of that? Oh, Joe, we need to talk. And the goats get goat minerals. Yeah. They get. I switched to Purina goat minerals. I had to order them special through Tractor Supply. They don't carry them. And check this. I don't know if you guys know this. I used to be able to order from the company and they send it to the store and you could pick it up. And I know some places still do that, free of charge. Yeah, not Tractor Supply. I think I had to pay $15 extra for them to deliver. I think it was a 25-pound bag of Purina minerals because the Purina is supposed to be a better mineral for the goats than the ProMana that I was using before. I work with Hannah at the Giving Goat blog for natural remedies, and she is actually going to school to be a vet, and she is obsessed with her goats. She loves goats. Anything goes. I completely 200% trust her and the information that she gives me about my goats. So Purina, she throws the stock minerals into the garden. Maybe we should try. I need help with that because this whole amending, we have clay soil and amending it is a beast. And we can't really afford to do raised beds for the amount of food that we want to grow. And I know we're kind of getting through. We're gonna get to the garden anyway this time. We want to try to grow as much as we can for the animals. I was gonna try it last year, and the weeds got out of control. I lost my mind last year. Is really what happened, and my garden went to pot.
I think your mind is still out there in the garden that's all overgrown, but the pigs chewed it all up for us, dug it up. I think you'll be all right. We'll put it back in there, a little duct tape. I think that'll be just fine, sweetheart. Yeah, it'll be fun. Now, I want to throw something out, and I could be just pulling stuff out of thin air. You know how that goes sometimes, right? So these wild stories and stuff.
He's a storyteller. He's a storyteller.
Keeps it interesting and entertaining. Did I remember hearing some time ago something about, does Epsom salt help in a garden or something? I mean, maybe not as a primary mineral.
Right. Yes.
So when she said, goat minerals and stuff, I was thinking Epsom salt. I know goats don't eat Epsom salt. Right, I know, but I've got to let you.
He's so excited.
Yes.
He's so excited.
I'm like, I can contribute something to the conversation.
He's not a gardener. He's not been like, he doesn't really like the whole gardening thing. He'll take care of animals all day long, but he's not really into the gardening thing.
I'll rent some rototiller or something, and I'll just tear it all up for her. That's what I like doing, tearing it all up.
I think we're gonna need to after the pigs, because the pigs they did an amazing job. Don't get me wrong. I am going to 150 times over recommend David just keep shuffling them around during the winter into the garden areas. But there's divots and wallows in my garden now.
No, there's bomb craters in there. It's craters. It's the dark side of the moon.
Bill said, "I'm tired of the snow, but by Monday I'll be tired of the mud." Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
This morning I was thinking the same thing doing the chores. I'm going, yes. This is going to get nasty next week, because then it's not just the melting of the ice and snow. It's all that rain coming in. That's going to make it even worse. Yeah. It's just terrible.
And then what I hate about it, and I believe the Winslows had the same issue last year, is I thought, I'll let the extra hay get kicked out, and then the goats have something nice to step on, so I don't have to worry about hoof rot. I don't know if you will have to worry about that so much, Joe, where you live, but that just created a nasty, stinking mess. Heavy, wet, sour smelling. I will never do that again. That was just gross.
You're talking about pulling the hay out of the barn and then putting it out in that area right there? Yeah.
Yes.
We thought it would absorb the water more, but no,
what I wanted was it to be something that they could step on, so they didn't get because they get the hoof rot from walking around and that stuff. And so
we have a future project. I don't know how far in the future.
Well, I know we're not the only one that has that issue.
Right, but
it is a project.
Well, yeah, the gravel and French drains, all that stuff. There's some work we got to do out in that barnyard to try to stop that.
Joe's input, going back to the garden real quick. She says she sprinkles the minerals on the garden and let it settle in. I figure if there's minerals that are not in the soil, how can the plants have them? So I got a cheaper bag of minerals. I'll have to try that. And she's verified, yes, it's magnesium.
Cha-ching.
He remembered me buying it and sprinkling it. So I don't know what to do. Tomatoes are good for it. I think it's that when it rots at the bottom of the bloom rot. Is it bloom rot? Is that what they call it? Bloom rot, right? When they get that little mushy bottom. Yeah. So I want to thank the Winslows who sent us home not witches with pigs and a bred rabbit, but a buttload of plastic, that thick plastic. If you've watched our latest video, which I know you guys probably have, that plastic, Cindy and Bill worked perfect, worked like a charm. It was amazing. Very easy to cut, huge.
And that was only part of it.
Small part of it.
I can see us using that all different places, especially for the wintertime, like you did on there.
It sealed that up using the stall gate, and putting the T-posts and putting the plastic up, kept the goats from tearing it down. Last year we had a moving blanket up there and some bales of hay to keep the breeze from coming in. And this worked way better. I just put some hay down at the bottom to kind of stop the breeze there. It worked. It's so cozy in there, so cozy. So that plastic was like primo A1, exactly what we needed for that barn. Even on the dog side, I love when I put down the hay and Thor just decided, oh, thanks, Mom, and just curled up in a little ball. I mean, it was super cozy in the barn. So really appreciate that. I'll probably next year, if we still have some of that, I'll probably use it on the buck house rather than the tarp. I think it's going to work a lot better for that. The pigs are ungrateful wretches.
Oh, they are.
Have. I tried to put that tarp up. And they ripped it down pretty much, like at least 50% of it. So, and Joe said, yes, that the lack of calcium is blossom rot. Okay, the bloom rot.
Right.
So, what would you put down for that? Joe, what do you recommend for the bloom rot and that? Something natural. Do your minerals take care of that? And the old billboard tarps. And this plastic reminds me of something that's that thick. That billboard tarp stuff.
I've seen, I can't remember who, but someone
Somebody
I ran
used it?
into was telling me of.
That they do the same thing?
Yeah.
Was it Carla?
Maybe.
No, or Carla used it. Feed bags. I tried to use feed bags.
No.
Look, I tried to use feed bags in the buck hut.
Don't do it.
And they, I cut them open. Well, then they smelled the feed on it and tried to eat the bags and whip them down. They can be so smart and so dumb at the same time. I don't understand. So something I need to do. We have coming up on our farm, and I'll probably video part of this. Coming up in 3 weeks, February 17th, we're going to have a Dairy Goat workshop, Dairy Goat 101 workshop for just anybody in the area who wants to come learn the basics of dairy goats, what to look for in a quality dairy goat. We're also going to trim hooves, and it may be close enough to kidding for my goats to give everybody their CBT shots. You give them 4 weeks before, and then 4 weeks before the kids are born, and then the 2 weeks after. So it may be close enough. Now I'm wondering, and maybe Joe or Cindy, you can tell me, or maybe even Bill, you can tell me if I give it to them 6 weeks before, is that too early? Because I think Maple and the girls are due the end of March instead of the beginning of March. I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's definitely middle to end. Yeah.
I think it's like more towards the end. So, or maybe I've got to go look at my notebook. Maybe it's even sooner. Maple actually may be beginning of March, and I think the other girls are towards the end of March. So, and Joe puts an egg under her tomatoes and oyster shells on her beds for the bloom rot.
I saw that somewhere about the egg.
Yeah. Now, do you bake it so that it breaks down easier? Because it feels like it would be there forever. That's what I was thinking. But if you bake it, it makes it a little bit more fragile.
Talking about the egg?
Yeah.
So put some fried eggs on there?
The egg shell.
Oh, I thought she was taking the whole egg and maybe just put it at the base there, and then an egg tree will grow up.
A chicken tree.
A chicken tree. Something.
Chicken tree. That's incubating.
Either that or she gets, crack. There's the egg.
I know some people actually take the shell, put dirt in it, and plant.
I've seen, yeah.
But they're so small. Cindy has never worked so hard this last week. I don't see how Northern Dakota and Michigan do it. I'm 100% with you. You have convinced me that I am never breeding goats before the end of October, ever. Never. Joe, in case you don't know, for those that don't know, Cindy had 36 kids born.
Wow, that many?
In the middle of the
that.
freezing cold. Right? Didn't I get the number right? Now, no, not all of them survived. That's a lot of babies. That was a busy buck because they were all born in the period of 3 days?
That's amazing. So,
Joe, how many goats do you have? I forgot. I don't even think you've told me because I didn't ask. And that's kind of the fun part of these live streams. I feel like this is like we can have a chat and get together with other homesteaders or people even that want to homestead and just have these really great conversations about what you're doing and what we're doing and things to try and stuff like Joe's been sharing about throwing minerals, just basic animal minerals out into the soil. And I know that's actually why we have to give our goats minerals is because our soil
lacks.
Is so depleted
right.
from all these minerals. So
correct.
Joe says Roost and Refuge. She does the whole egg, just a small crack. So if I pull up the plant, I don't get a rotten egg. Credit to Jess. Jess from Roots and Refuge.
The whole egg.
So, and then Joe just got 4 in November, 4 baby goats. So do you have the small breeds? If you got goats in December, so do you have the Nigerian dwarfs or the pygmies? Inquiring minds want to know. Cindy and Bill, yours were all Kikos. I know there were, this is the Kikos and the small ones, right? Is that right? I think that's right.
You never told me, so I don't know. I got nothing to say about that. Except to say that I got nothing to say.
I did tell you that she had a lot of goats.
Well,
a lot of babies.
You told me that.
So she got 4 in November. So you just got the goats in November. So you just became a recent goat owner. Yay! Welcome. And what kind? What kind of goat?
Yeah, what breed?
Yeah. I still think La Manchas look like aliens. Even though we own them. We didn't really pick the La Manchas. The La Manchas picked us.
They did. They just came walking by one day off the highway here. We'll stop here at Maplewood Homestead and like, hey, pick us.
Well, actually, Cindy got us the Nubians.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Joe has Nigerian dwarves. 2 and 3 monthish and two at 3 months and a mama with her buckling. Aww, so cute. They are cute. They're more like puppies to me than goats, though.
Oh, those Nigerian dwarfs?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
In the whole village.
Is that okay to say?
Is it politically correct to call them dwarfs?
It is.
It is.
That's the breed.
That's their breed.
That's the breed. All right. Settled. There's no more discussion on that. Case closed. Thank you very much.
You gotta be so careful. I mean, can you maybe Maple would be offended if we called her full size.
Oh my goodness.
You calling me fat?
Yeah, we're calling her fat right now because she's so pregnant. Let me tell you.
She's huge.
But she's great. She's still got plenty of energy, a lot of spunk.
We saw them. Here she is. She's due, like I said, I'm pretty sure she's due beginning of March. So she's probably got, let's see,
6
all
weeks.
of February. So about 6 or
5 or 6 weeks. Right?
Yeah. 5 or no. Yeah, about 6 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks left.
Yeah.
She ran across the barnyard and literally kicked up her heels. You know how they do that kicking up their heel things when they're all happy? Yeah, that's what they did. Excuse me. What else was I going to say? Okay, so going back to this. Talking about snow, even if you didn't get snow. Talking about snow, I want to complain about it, but what I have to remember is that's God's way of putting nitrogen back into the soil, right? Like, He planned it that way. So on top of plants dying and put nitrogen in the soil, the snow puts nitrogen into the soil.
But it's a cold nitrogen, unlike the chicken coop where their poop is hot nitrogen and it has to break down for a long time before you can put it in the garden. You don't want to put chicken poop directly on the garden when you're preparing your beds and everything. It's got to break down first on the composting pile. But snow, cold nitrogen. Go figure. I don't know if it's the same as cold fusion, cold nitrogen.
Cold brew.
Hey, look it up. Google it.
He makes up his own homesteading.
I didn't make it nothing up. You test me on that one. Right? Chicken poop, hot nitrogen.
That's true.
Snow, cold nitrogen.
You're getting loud.
Because I'm having fun.
When I first met him, he was like, I'm from the Loud family. And he has passed that on to our kids.
So we're talking about snow.
So,
and...
wait. Cindy says they have around 40 goats. Are they supposed to count?
What do you mean?
She's got total of 40 goats. She said, we're supposed to keep count of that?
Oh, I thought she meant, do the goats count? Okay, I got you. The 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yes.
She had 12 dwarves bred and 15 Kikos bred. That's about an estimate.
That's a lot of goats.
You want me to look? Okay. My coordinator is telling me I need to look at something.
So I'm going to fill in the dead air here while she's checking an email. All the animals stayed healthy as far as that goes.
Oh.
And I think that we got to be extra cautious with the rain, like we talked about earlier, as far as the hoof rot and things like that. The pigs are going to love it, though, because it's going to make the ground all wet and muddy again for them. They're going to love that. But the rest, it's the rain that I'm more concerned with now.
Yeah.
It's just nasty to work in.
Matthew said he put the link to the cold weather video. Where'd you put it?
In the comment section.
In the description. In the descriptions of the live stream. So if you're watching this after the fact, go ahead and you can click on that if you haven't watched it yet. So thank you, Matthew. Matthew, you gotta love homeschooling because this counts as a class for him. He is our moderator, plus he's my tech guy. So between he and I, we figure out most of the tech problems. I don't know if you guys like our background. Let me know if you like our background. And we got mics that actually work. Let me know how the sound is. I know we had some problems with that last time. So Matthew's our tech guy. Gotta love him. And he gets school credit for it. So pretty excited about that.
Thinking about the health of the animals for next week.
Yeah.
That temperature swing, especially for goats and anyone who's had goats for a long enough period of time, pneumonia can be play a factor. I mean, it's okay if it's gradual, right? The temperatures gradually go from warm or hot to cold, or the other way, cold gradually back up to warm.
Yeah.
But then almost overnight or within hours.
Oh my goodness! It went from when I was filming that last video. When I went out in the rain to do the other stuff, I really didn't want to do all that stuff in the rain. But I was looking at the temperatures, and within 3 hours, it was going from 50 down to 20. And I was like, I do not want to be doing this when it's 20 degrees out. So the rain it is. I'd rather do it in the rain and be a little wet and when it's warm than with the wind and the 20 degrees. That was my call on that one. Cindy was saying that it's true. Goat math is as real, if not worse, than chicken math. Because then it comes, okay, so we have our herd. Maple is definitely bred. She's humongous. Sassy, her daughter from 2 years ago, she's definitely bred. She looks like a mini Maple. Sometimes if I look real quick, I think it's Maple out of the corner of my eye. Finley, so, okay. I didn't understand this until our friend Carla told me about this. The La Manchas, the purebred La Manchas, there's a leaner, longer looking La Mancha that people are breeding for now. So they're still got all the qualities of La Mancha, but Carla likes to call them Greyhound. Oh. Greyhound La Manchas. And so Maple is more of the old school, nice big round barrel, deep chest.
Looks healthy, is healthy,
robust. Just they're shorter legs, not short legs, but they're shorter legs than these newer La Manchas. So Lola, which is my showgirl, supposedly, is real long. Her legs are longer. I feel like she's taller than Maple, or she just looks leaner. So even when she was pregnant, it was harder to tell. Her daughter, I can't really tell if she's fluffy or she's just carrying lean, because Maple and Sassy carry like a barrel. These two carry more in the depth of their body. I don't know how to describe it. You know what I mean? So
I do. I know what you're saying because I see them all the time.
Yeah.
But you're right; they're not very round. No.
That's actually the correct use of the word rotund. Round, rotund. Rotundra.
Very good.
They
yes,
said
Mom.
They're having a bit of trouble hearing you, so I'm going to try turning up.
Oh, maybe. Is this better?
No, it's because I turned it down a bit.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
Let us know if that's better.
Okay, good. Sorry about that, guys. See?
That might be too loud, but I'm not sure.
Matthew says, give it a check. I'm so glad for moderators. I'm so glad you guys are here. And I really want to thank you. Really super excited. I mean, we only have the 4 of us right now tuning in. But if you come back on the live stream and you're watching this as a replay, first of all, thank you to the people that are here, and thank you to the people that are watching it on the replay. We are really excited. I finally buckled down and started doing weekly posts, probably October, I think. I think October, September, October, I think I was like, all right, I just need to commit to this. This is my part-time job. We're going to commit to this. And people, you guys have been showing up, and I appreciate it so much. And it's still small as a channel goes in the YouTube world, but super grateful for you guys supporting this. I call this, we're going to stream the dream, because this really is a dream for us, what we wanted to do. So thank you, and appreciate everything. Reaching 500 subscribers, we're halfway to the magic 1,000 number, and we still have to get our view hours up. We're not, even though we've made it to the halfway point with subscribers, we're still lacking in view hours. So thank you guys very much. And going back to the chat, Joe says she's hoping to do that, double her herd. Got it. But she's limited by land mass. So how many acres do you have, Joe? And also, Cindy wants to know, do our pigs burrow into the hay? They brought a whole bunch of hay into those little huts, and then they...
I can speak to that.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I crawled in there right with them. All right, not a chance. I was not getting in the middle of that pig pen nest in there. But yes, I thoroughly loved watching the pigs shred up a bunch of flakes of hay, put it in their bunch in their mouth, shake it real crazy like. At first, I wasn't sure what they were gonna do. Right?
They get all violent with the hay.
They do. They like the hay was the enemy or something. It's like, this isn't real food. This is just filler. No, we want corn. We want grain.
I'm gonna scoot the camera. Hold on.
But the other thing is with that, they literally put it in their mouths, carried it into their little, I don't know, hut, that pig hut that you made for them, and into that cubicle thing that they had, because they have office work there in their cubicles, right? And they put all the hay in there, and then they burrowed in like they were some type of
bird.
Yeah, like a.
They literally make a nest.
And then I'm pretty sure they piled on top of one another.
Pig pile.
Pig pile. That's, you ever seen that game? You got these two pigs and like a Scrabble dice cup or something, and you throw out the pig pen and stuff. So they burrowed in there, and I'm thinking the pig on the bottom, man, they were toasty. The pigs on top, I don't know, but they got in there. It's a riot. I go in there at night with my little flashlight real quick just to look, and they're all, you can't even tell how many pigs are in there, because they're basically black-haired pigs.
So in the dark, you can barely see them.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, I know one's in there, but I'm not going in to count them.
Cindy sent me a picture from the American Guinea Hog page.
Yeah. And
there had to be 12. I think the meme said they had like 12 pigs piled on top of each other, if I remember correctly. And all you could see, it looked like they were stacked. All you saw was snouts and eyes. It was really crazy.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of how many...
Cindy says she likes watching us do chores.
Yeah, great.
She likes watching you do chores.
Oh. Yeah. Is that
what you meant?
Yeah. Thanks, Cindy. Thanks. When I'm off work or home,
I get out there.
Yes.
It actually does make me happy.
That's right.
Because I know especially the pigs, he enjoys working with the pigs. I don't know why. Bacon,
ham, pork chop, pork loin.
Joe has 1 acre. That's probably makes sense for the Nigerian dwarfs to have the 1 acre. Yeah. I don't know. Sorry, I took my microphone off. I don't remember when I put my microphone. Okay. Anyway, transitioning back over to the garden. The nitrogen snow puts nitrogen in.
Cold nitrogen. Got it.
Cold brew. And I want to know, you guys, I know both of you garden, both households garden, the Winslow's garden and the Joe Miller garden, right? What is the hardest thing for you to grow? what have you had the biggest problem growing? I think for us, I have issues with the root vegetables because we have so much clay and I don't really amend the way I should, which means I need to rototill some of that stuff into it.
To make it a little more loose or something?
Yeah, because it's clay.
And it's so compact in one sense that the roots can't grow.
It's clay.
Well, yeah.
Clay, yes, compact.
Well, and if it's not that, then I might throw this in. Squash. Now, we can grow squash, but those squash
squash vine borers.
Yes, those ones.
Yeah.
That's frustrating when you see this lovely squash out there and then that little thing gets right in there and bores in it.
Yeah, yep. Cindy, as an aside, said it was funny when they grab the hay and they run off with it, right? And that's how they fluff the hay. Yeah, because they pull it apart from when you give them a flake. They pull it all apart to do with what they're going to do with. It's like they're going to go decorate their house.
The pigs do remind me of how many people can we get in this telephone booth or this car and take a picture or something like that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Clowns in the car.
The clowns in the car. Yeah.
They're clowns, all right. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Scary clowns. The scary clowns. That's what they are.
It's a horror
movie. They still scare me. Like, huh? Matthew says they scare him too. He says they terrify him. Like, I think I have images that if I fall in the mud and they can't get up, they will eat me. Isn't that terrible?
You can't run fast in the mud because the clay mud, sucks your boot, and before you know it, your foot's out of the boot and the boot's still there. I promise you, though, if you out there and you can't find me, you just see a pair of boots, you know exactly what happened.
I may or may not have had pleasure in throwing the hay over and scaring the crap out of the
so wrong
out of the pig, and the pig went whoa. Kind of gave me some enjoyment to scare the pig. Is that terrible? Does that make me a bad person? No. Say no. You're supposed to say
no. No. Sorry, I was looking at the chat feed going back to the Joe was saying about mine is squash. We have vine board. Oh, so that's
her hardest thing to grow too.
Right. Yeah. And tell the story about how you put tin foil on all of them and they look like you were trying to block out all the radio waves and TV waves and the government trying to get in there to the squash, and they look like alien. You know,
I don't
TV
know.
Antennas.
I don't know. I don't know if you've ever tried this. I don't know if I had avidly watched Old Alabama Gardener. Have you ever watched Old Alabama Gardener? Unfortunately, he has passed away. Super nice guy. I had reached out to him, and he actually sent me 5 or 6 comfrey little roots. And actually, Cindy, the ones I gave you that were from him, I have proliferated them all over the place. I love my comfrey. Anyway, he had talked about before I plant them in the ground, like growing them to a certain height and then wrapping the aluminum foil and then planting them in to combat the squash vine borers getting to that because that's where they actually gravitate towards, is that where it meets the soil, right? And I'm not really 100% sure if it worked. I can't remember now if it worked or if it didn't work, because I didn't do it again. So I'm going to say maybe it didn't work, but that was what I was doing. So yeah.
Well, I remember that, but then I also remember perhaps that first year before you started doing the aluminum foil and all the conspiracy theorists about these squash borer vines and everything, that you performed surgery on them.
I've
remember
done that.
That you've
I've done that.
Yeah.
Taking an X-Acto knife and opened up the base and dug out the worm. I've done that. And then kind of like covered it back up with dirt. Yeah, I've done that. And it's the same with Cindy. Cindy, Joe said it wasn't bad that I like scared the pig. It made for good YouTube. I'm like, boo, gotcha. So yeah, squash. I love squash though. The hard squash. Here's the thing. Those are my 2 biggest things: is the clay and growing root vegetables and growing squash. We eat squash, and I use that to say those 2 things are things that I want to plant more of this year, because tromboncino squash, I really like the tromboncino squash. Cindy, I know you tried it. I don't know if your animals liked it or not. Let me know. Cindy said with the pigs, you respect the teeth. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But those teeth could chew through those Travancino squashes. They probably would love the Travancino squash. I love how the Travancino squash, we ate it. We ate it.
I liked it.
Like a zucchini
I was
at the
surprised.
beginning.
I liked it.
And then afterwards, I let some, I actually have a couple in there that I've let winterize. I wanted to see for myself. It does. It looks just like a weird butternut squash looking thing. So I don't know, Cindy, if you and Bill kept any of them after you grew them, or did you feed them to the animals? But I want to grow the Travancino squash. I didn't feel like they were any better resistant to the squash vine borers. I heard, okay, Joe has tried Travancino squash. Cindy plants her root vegetables in window flower boxes. Huh.
Because for looser soil.
Yes.
I mean, that almost begs the question of, do we build? I don't want to, but do we build raised beds just for the roots?
No, because I want to plant a lot.
Right.
A lot. And the other thing I really want to do, and don't think it's going to get done this year, so it might be a moot point to grow that much, is a root cellar. Like, we need a root cellar to keep it. So I'd have to figure out something else to keep it. That's going to be something I need to research, is if we grew all these Travancino has got to be kept in a cool, dry place. The mango beets, which mine would have grown a lot bigger. They were super easy to grow for me. They take a long time to sprout. But after you pull them up, where do you keep them so they can stay, right? So we have to find a place to store them, because the ones that I had left over, just to see how long they would last, they didn't last forever. I mean, they didn't rot right away, but unless they're in a root cellar, they're not going to last. So Cindy says she puts DE around her squash, and that helps. So, yeah. Well, so I want to do more Travancino.
Yeah.
I want to do turnips, not for us. I mean, I like turnips. I don't think anybody in the house does, but doing low carb turnips don't work. Parsnips, if we're going to have any root vegetables as we transition back to keto after a minute, it would be parsnips and rutabagas. Those are much lower carb than the other root vegetables. But I do want to grow turnip, beets, even the radishes, because they're real quick. But the goats will eat them. My goats will eat them. My goats did eat them. So I bet you they take a lot more prep work. But I'm thinking time, everything costs time or money. So to save some of the money, if we grow some of these roots and spend the time cutting them up, it's not like we have 40 goats. I'm sorry, Cindy, I don't have 40 goats. So it could be a little bit easier to cut up stuff for them. In any case, a large part of our garden this year, I'm hoping, if I can get it amended correctly, to grow the root vegetables to feed the animals. The Travancino squash, I want to grow more of them. So I really like them. I only did a couple of 3 plants to try it out. Really like them. So
yeah. So if you haven't picked up on now, the goal is to we have 2 basic gardens right now.
We have like a kitchen garden and a canning garden. That's what I call them. Anyway.
Right. But a big portion of what we section off for the garden would be to grow fodder crop to help supplement feeding our animals. And who knows, maybe one day be able to grow enough, if we can figure this thing out, where maybe 80% of what they eat comes from the garden. But that being said, you and I are still figuring out, okay, what can we manage as we're getting older and the kids are getting older and they'll transition out of the house, and you and I have to be able to do this stuff. And as much as it breaks my heart at times, you have to be the main person, since I go out and work right now. And so we're transitioning to with jobs. And is there something I can do maybe from home that will help, so I can help out more around here or not? But but that's what we're thinking about. And you're right. We're going to have to, I think this will be the first year that we're going to have to seriously rototill, honestly, to loosen up more, a little bit deeper, and then throw all that hay and stuff on there from the goats once we clean out the
hay
barn
has to
and
work
everything.
as a mulch, so I'll have to figure that out. Okay, I'm going to show you. You're going to have to move the papers. I'm going to show you. I have, maybe it's only me. I'm a seed hoarder. I get seeds All of these is seeds from the last few years. And I know that the germination rate goes down, but I had bought into the longest time that you need new seeds every year. Don't ask me why. Sheeple, I don't know. I believed it. I don't know why. I know that I will have to test some of them, but I have so many seeds in here. I think the only seeds I want to buy are going to be probably the Tramontino. I have some. I might have enough. So I might not even have to buy them.
Well,
and I have mangles
that's what
from last year too.
Mango. Yeah, I didn't know how many
I
mangoes.
have mangles too. And they take 120 days. So if I can get it in early enough and then leave a few to seed, then I can have my own seeds. I have more seeds. Yeah. So that's ultimately the goal for that. And then the garden, I'm going to say we're not strict carnivores right now. I feel like we're more ketovores because I love onions and peppers in with my meat and garlic. So, but eating really clean, and I'd like to add more. And when the season comes and we're putting all this effort into a garden, we're going to be eating the vegetables. So, and I'd like to can some for the winter. Carrie's here. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Carrie.
She made it.
Hi, Carrie. Loofah. Joe was saying something about loofah in the chat.
Wait, let me go back.
Yeah.
Oh, and Daniel's here. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
Dan's
Thanks for
here,
joining us.
And let's see. Radishes. Joe says radishes will help loosen the soil. Don't harvest them till them in as soon. Oh, till them in. So till them in. Plant the radishes and then till them into the ground.
So
as an amendment, like
okay, say it again.
You plant the radishes, let them grow up and mature, and instead of pulling them, you till them into the ground. It's a vegetation. It puts stuff back into the ground. I've never heard that.
I've never heard that either.
That is smart, though.
So
I'm gonna take some of that comfrey over there and throw that up in there too.
Right.
And Cindy said her pigs love the Tramontino and the chickens, and the goats like them if you cut them up. Yeah.
Cut up the chickens? What did you just say?
The Tramontino.
Yeah, but you said chickens too.
No, Pigpen Penny is the only one I'm worried about getting eaten by an animal. Okay, she goes in with those pigs. She's the only one I was concerned about. But anyway, the Tramontino squash. The goats like the Tramontino.
Yeah, just cut it up, throw it in there, and they'll chomp on it.
Yeah. And Carrie says she loves DE. Carrie is out in the desert too, Joe.
That's right.
Joe, do you have like the sandy dirt? Is that why you do the raised beds? Because Carrie has been working on her desert garden for a long time. And Daniel says that's the best use for radishes.
Oh, just because he must not like radishes that much.
Have you ever pickled them? Pickled radishes are not actually.
They're not bad, but I remember we grew them once in a while when we were kids.
Yeah.
And we just cleaned them up, put a little bit of salt on them, and I munch on them. Radishes. I used to just eat them on the side. Same thing with green onions, and I mean,
it's that spicy.
It's something. It's because I'm a ginger. I don't know.
Well, he's a ginger, but his grandma's Mexican. And so he got used to spicy foods when he was younger.
Radishes aren't that spicy.
They are.
No, they're not.
I guess but it's also like which radishes too.
Whatever was the cheapest variety seed. I remember
Dollar Tree?
They didn't have Dollar Tree back when I was a kid.
They had like the 10-cent ones.
It was Thrifty Drugstore probably. And,
probably. Yeah, probably. Joe says her old seeds she pre-soaks in a light sugar water before she starts the seed, and it gives them energy needed to reach the soil surface. Joe, we need to talk.
Right. I had not heard of sugar water for the seeds. That's interesting.
Cindy still has a Tramontino.
What do you mean?
And
in the ground?
No, like she kept. And she says grow more pumpkin and squash. That's what we need to do.
Yes,
but see, then it turns, it's all this squash stuff. Like the squash is the best stuff to grow. It's like the challenge. So I just need to go be the squash fairy and plant all over the property, all over a little here. Because I feel like, all right, tell me if this makes sense. We're kind of going to the permaculture, right? I really, not last year, year before, I had these big plans to do a permaculture garden. And I guess we can still do that because I'm thinking as we get older, planting smarter, not harder. So stuff like Jerusalem artichokes, stuff like the Egyptian walking onions that kind of self-plant or do their own thing and come back year after year. Those are the things that I wanted to plant, things like that. Fruit trees, fruit bushes. I wanted to put them all close to the house so we can be out there at 70 and putting around in our garden and pulling stuff off of that. So, That was my dream anyway. But there was a reason I was saying that. Oh, because you gotta love being over 50. So, when you plant one here and one there and one over here, it confuses the insects. And since there's not a mass of them all in one area, you have a better chance of circumventing the squash bugs. So
so actually, that is your theory right now, right?
Well, I think I tried it once, and it did take longer for them to find. Matthew has some vine borer facts that you want to share.
Yeah, so I looked it up on the Old Farmer's Almanac, right? And it says that you should not plant them in the same place twice, like 2 years in a row, because during the fall, they burrow inside of the dead plant remains. And so if you try growing the same area again, then they'll just reproduce. It also recommends that you pull up all the debris at the end of the fall, so that way you're not getting them the next year.
Matthew, and I don't know if you heard Matthew, he also gets an ag credit for doing stuff like this with us.
That's really good, Matthew.
Yeah, it says the butternut squash and the sukuzi, also known as the snake gourd, tend to be more resistant to the vine borers. So
butternut squash, they still get them here.
Yeah.
Now the cushaw, I grew cushaw for the first time last year, or the year before. Last year, I think. Cushaw. I like the cushaw. I think I might grow those. Get really big, and I might grow those for the goats too, because they grow really well here. I got some from my friend Wes, some seeds from Wes, and they grew like crazy. So yeah, cushaw is probably pumpkins. It's a kind of gourd.
Talking about all this gardening stuff makes me it makes me think. I mean, everyone who does this homesteading thing, or just a garden, animals, both, whatever, it's nonstop. Because I mean, what Matthew just uncovered for us is did we remove the old dead stuff? That's why we're putting the pigs in there. You know what I mean? As far as this goes right now, to help us.
Protein.
Get rid of that stuff right now. But yeah, I remember reading something about a week or so ago about, now that it's, winter time, the season of winter, if you can, here's what you do in your gardens to start getting them ready. Spring, summer, fall, here's what, all this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't even got to talking about a greenhouse and stuff like that. Maybe we'll talk about that next time or something.
Greenhouse, yeah.
But it's so much work. And again, thinking about what you and I can do, how much can we really manage?
Yes.
The two of us.
Matthew, would you hand me that book over there, The Independent Farmstead? It's in the stack of books right there.
That's
next to the
pretty good.
Computer.
But Loofah, remember I was saying, Joe, I think was saying something up a little bit about planting loofah, which we've done, and I've been real impressed with the way your loofah grew this past season.
And actually, that's a squash. I wonder if
I forget
the
about
animals would
eat that, right?
It's a squash. I might have to try that. I grew them. Actually, I was thinking of my next video. I've got loofah from a couple of years ago that I never cut and put in soaps. And I was actually thinking Sunday I need to make some shampoo bars. And I might actually do that. Cut and just make a video about, I'm going to cut my loofahs and put them in the cupcake mold and for like a body scrub. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it would be helpful. It's sort of like your scrunchie is already encased with soap.
Right. Yeah. One-stop shopping.
Yeah. Carrie's excited about, she got her seed catalog yesterday. And Joe said she also has hard clay in Central Texas. So I hate the clay. But everything grows here in
it'll grow.
Forest.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But I don't know. There was something I was going to say and I forgot what it was. What else? Harrison Grove. Okay. Here's a question for all you guys. What is something you wished you never even bothered tried growing? It was a complete waste of time. And you will never, ever grow again. Give us the heads up. Give us the warning. So, I think, what is it for us?
That was a complete waste of time?
Yeah.
Well, waste of time because you or I or we as a family, we didn't put any effort into to making sure that it grew the right way.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah.
Because
well, I'm saying you wouldn't do it again, but yes, there's
that we
definitely...
wouldn't do it again. I didn't like those green beans that had the strings in them.
Yes.
Oh God, I can't stand them things. First of all, I don't even like eating them. I'm not sure why we grew them, but they grow easily. Maybe that's the
David says we should just feed the goats
just
green
feed
beans.
just give them to the pigs and goats. Let them eat it.
I don't know if you all do this, but every year there's something I overgrow. There's always something I overgrow. And one year it was watermelon. I grew hundreds of pounds of Charleston Grays, which wasn't bad. Another year I grew so many cucumbers, way more cucumbers than we could ever eat. And I still have pickles. That was 2 years ago. I had to actually give some to the pigs, which they loved. Another year it was green beans. Grew way more green beans than I could even can. So it's always something I overplant.
Well, it's hard to tell what type of yield you might get.
Yeah.
Like this past season, I missed the Charleston Gray watermelons. We didn't grow any.
I know.
And I'm like,
I think those are my favorite. I think the Charleston Grays are my favorite. So
well, right now
we've grown Sugar Babies.
Yep.
We've grown the Charleston Grays. Yeah. So nobody really posted anything, but well, we certainly appreciate you guys being here. There are 10 people here. I know not everybody spoke, but just to wrap up.
Joseph, hold on. Before we wrap up, because she lives in the desert and I have to laugh. She said prickly pears.
She will do that again.
Cactus. Yeah, prickly pear. Oh, that would be a waste of time to me. I can't
it's too much
stand those things.
But to prep that, oh my goodness.
It's good eating if someone was willing to put the work and effort into it, though. That's good eating. It really is. You can eat the pad and the red fruit. Napolitos, maybe. Mm.
Before we go, because I'm going to wrap up here, because we were trying to do 4 to 5, and my moderator is like, "There's time. Well, and we may do them longer in the future. This has been the last live stream, and this live stream is really just, we're figuring stuff out, and we totally appreciate you guys being patient.
You. Appreciate it.
It is a blast every time you guys show up, and when you interact, it makes it so much fun. And we hope that our videos entertain, educate, inspire to grow as much of your own food as you can. I mean, it can be you have a little planter box on your balcony in your apartment. You can be learning how to, I started by getting tomatoes on sale when they were on sale and making salsa and learning how to can that way. That's how I started when we were in the desert. But going back real quick to the animal fodder, I'm going to end on this note, is I know I've talked about this before. If you're interested in really researching foods that you can grow for your animals and how to set it up, The Independent Farmstead by Sean and Beth Doherty, I really, really have enjoyed this book, and I'm studying it. And what I also really like is if you go to their website, onecowrevolution.org. I want to say it's .org. I don't think it's .com, but it might be .com. It's One Cow Revolution. They have an email. I asked her specifics. I needed some specific information about feeding pigs and even quantities to feed them after you grow stuff. She responded back. So I really appreciated that, but very good book. That's all we have time for now. I have to take Miss Rachel to an event, and so we have to wrap up here. We are so thankful for you guys. I'm so thankful for David. When he's not at work, he works so hard here. We really appreciate you guys' support and subscribing and liking and watching the videos. We're planning on having our live stream, at least for now, and it may be on Saturday nights. It may be on Saturday nights once spring picks up and we get more used to doing these. But for now, the first and third Saturdays of the month. And for now, it's going to be probably 5 o'clock. I think 5 o'clock.
Probably 5 o'clock. We just have some things going on with the family and stuff tonight.
So, but you guys let us know if that's a really great time for you. Love hearing the feedback. Love hearing your comments. And thanks again, guys. We hope you have a great time